Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Cole Reynolds, and welcome back to Speak from the Heart, a testimonial podcast series where athletes can share their story behind their faith. And today, I have a very good friend of mine, a dude that I've known since high school, former quarterback for the Kentucky Wildcats and UT Martin Skyhawks, Kaiya Sheron. So glad to have you on, man. I'm super excited to get to talk to you today.
A lot of close games with few possessions. Wide open! Touchdown! Sheron finds Jordan Dingle. I think at Missouri and Vanderbilt, and you could see the momentum building to the perimeter and in. Touchdown.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so we both went to Somerset. You know, you were a grade ahead of me, but it wasn't really sports that made us get close. It was actually Call of Duty Modern Warfare that brought us together. So those late nights with Gavin and Logan,
Yeah.
Raymond and Colton, you know, the boys, like those were good times. And that's honestly when we started getting close, which is cool.
Absolutely.
But yeah, going by my earliest memory, it was you and Cade that started to be kind of the big names around Somerset. You know, Cade was going to Louisville. He committed in 8th grade to go play baseball. And then in early 2020, you committed to Kentucky. And, you know, you guys ended up having amazing careers at SHS. And I'm sure you look back on those days and those times here and there, but what kind of drew you first to football, and why did you choose to become a quarterback?
Honestly, it was both my dad. So as a kid growing up, I would throw the football, run and catch it, jump on the couch, and whatever Brett Favre was doing on the TV is what I would do in the living room. So my uncle texted my mom every Sunday, how many yards did Kaiya throw for today? And then because I would just run back and forth doing whatever the players on the football team would do or on the screen. So football has been honestly my first love since I don't even remember, probably 2 years old. As soon as I could run around and throw the football, I was running around and catching my own throws. So as for the quarterback, my dad was a D lineman. So I didn't want to play quarterback. I wanted to play D line. I wanted to play linebacker. I wanted to hit people. And Troy Polamalu was my favorite player growing up, and it was all defense. My dad used to say quarterbacks wear skirts because they're soft. Like that was his saying in football practice. But as like Little League, the most athletic player is always going to play running back, quarterback, like those positions. So I was an athletic kid, so I touched the ball every play, and I got to play quarterback. And then I started playing baseball. I always had like a good arm. Couldn't control the baseball, but I could throw it pretty hard. Football, I could obviously control. And then honestly, I've played quarterback since I was probably 8 years old or 6 years old, and then throughout my whole life. So
Yeah,
it just stuck.
yeah, that's sweet. How did growing up in Somerset and playing for SHS, being QB1 for the long time that you were, kind of shape you as a player and as a person? And like you said, your dad, but were there any coaches, you know, family members or mentors that had an impact on your journey?
Absolutely. So most notably, Coach Lucas, who passed away a couple years ago. He was my dad's best friend growing up, and obviously my head football coach. He was the first person I called when I got told I was going to start my first college game. I didn't even tell my parents yet, and I called Coach Lucas. But him and my dad are probably the top two, like from high school, that really shaped me into the football player, the man, everything like that. My dad would wake up at 5:30 in the morning and come lift with me and my sister before school. And then I would go out to football after school. And I tell people I used to brag. I'm like, oh, I worked out before school. Like that's why I'm such a good football player. But it was not my choice. I did not want to go at all. My dad would wake me up, walk downstairs, wake me up, pull me out of bed, and I would be half asleep in the car as we go to lifting. I didn't want to do it. My dad forced me, and until probably my sophomore year of high school, it was all like my dad, like, come on, like we got to go. So I think he instilled like the self-motivation in me, because once I did start like wanting it for myself, I would work out before school, sometimes after school, and sometimes doing 2 days, and then obviously having like sports, football and basketball after school anyways. Like I would do extra stuff on my own without the motivation of my father being in my ear and waking me up and stuff. So him allowing me to not only not make a wrong decision for myself, but helping me make the right decisions. Like that pushed me along in my football career a long ways.
Yeah, and I think it's cool. I have a uh, similar situation growing up with my dad. I mean, he pushed me very much to be the best that I could be, and I think it's all out of love and
Absolutely.
also the expectation that he sees from you that you probably didn't see from yourself. And honestly, looking back, and I'm sure you do too, but just appreciate how much he looked out for you and wanted you to be the best that you can be. And that kind of leads me into my next question: is with your dad as being one of the closest people in your life and so football savvy and one of your coaches, how did that impact you or shape you as a man as well as a football player?
Absolutely. Honestly, lead by example is something like my dad always has taught. So him being a father, if I could be half the father he is, I would be phenomenal. So, and he is the most passionate person I've ever met in my life. And honestly, if you come to a Somerset High School game when I was in high school, you would hear the passion on the field. He's the loudest. Some passion goes different ways. Me, I'm not a rah rah guy, but that is absolutely my father. So if you come to any of those games, you would hear the passion that he
Mm,
embarks on the field. So that's something that I speak highly of my dad. He cares, and he cares wholeheartedly about anything he's doing, and that's something that honestly I've grown into. I didn't have it to start, and I think that's something that is good to hear is like it's not all like I wasn't born with like I'm gonna go to the gym today. I was a scrawny kid up until I tore my ACL twice and then started getting in the gym with my dad. And then I wanted it for myself.
yeah,
So I think the self motivation and the passion for football, for life, I think that comes from my dad. And that's something that he's taught me and my sister.
yeah. And I agree. I think honestly, I was similar in scrawny, but I was also very undersized. I didn't really grow into. Uh, I didn't really get a growth spurt. I wasn't very strong. I didn't weigh very much. My freshman year, I was like 5'6", 115, or 5'7", 115. So I was a small kid. And my dad, I was going to be the smaller guy, and I was okay with that because I had him as one of my role models. And um, honestly, like I wanted to work really hard. And that work ethic was something that was instilled in me. And honestly, I still have it to this day is I didn't have amazing talent. I wasn't an amazing, hitter or infielder throughout majority of high school. I didn't really start to figure things out until later, but just that work ethic that it's instilled from, the people that want the best for you, that really carries you a long way. And it honestly
Absolutely.
did. I mean, you had an incredible high school career and you ended up having a pretty good career in college. That's something that is invaluable as also, past athletics is just having that work ethic, that extra, I'll go get it. So
Absolutely.
that's super cool. But yeah, like I said, you had a great high school career. I mean, I thought you were the best quarterback in the state. And what kind of moment stood out to you the most throughout your career?
That's easy. That's the state championship. But honestly, it's not even about like how we won. It's like who I won it with. Like those guys were like the camaraderie we had. We would stay at each other's houses on Friday night, Saturday night, hang out throughout the week, as well as practice together for 3 hours, lift together in the afternoons, and then go out to practice. Like we spent so much time together. And I will say every successful team I've been on, like there has been it's not just a team or we're not just here for football. We love each other. Like we love hanging out with each other. And honestly, like I still have those friends, those relationships I talk to every single day. And that's honestly like Kentucky. I know it didn't work out the way I had hoped, but those relationships I have and the friendships I have from people that are my best friend, 6'8", 350 pounds from Detroit, Michigan. Like he's playing in the NFL, he's
Yeah.
making however much money, but if you talk to him today, you wouldn't know that he was that kind of guy, except the fact that he's 6'8", 350 pounds. But that is it. Like he looks like a freak, but he is just a good dude. And
Yeah.
that's the most valuable thing I've come from football is the relationships from people from Detroit, people from Alabama, and then honestly, bringing the people like Dion came to Somerset, and now him and Gavin are really good friends. So like
Yeah.
combining those two worlds, like it's awesome,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, I mean, what a group too. It was,
Absolutely.
Jay Spruner, Cade Grundy, Tate Madden. I went and actually watched back that clip because I was trying to, find some more, stats, stuff like that, just on your background. And he was wide open.
As time expires, Kaiya Sheron, the UK target, looking for the end zone, and they call pass interference. So the Briar Jumpers get one untimed down, and that's when the magic happens. Sheron to a wide open Tate Madden, touchdown Somerset, and that's the ball game.
Oh yeah, it was the easiest pass of the game.
Like the ball almost was like, I remember watching it and being there, and the ball, when you threw it, it was like almost in like slow motion. And then like
Yeah.
you're looking around and trying to find the defender or the corner on Tate, and no one's around him. And that was
Yeah.
cool. I mean, I
So
remember
I actually have. There's a funny story with the corner. So the corner that got the flag on Cade the play before, it was during COVID. We were throwing in an indoor in Western Kentucky, so like near Mayfield and stuff. And he comes up to me, and he's a short white kid, shorter than me. He comes up, he goes, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "No, am I supposed to?" He's like, "I'm the corner." I was like, "Which one?" He goes, "The one that got the flag." I
Oh
was like,
no.
"Oh my god!" It was so funny. I was like, "Oh my gosh, man!"
No.
And he was like, "Yeah." I got pretty lit up after that, and I was like, "I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that sucks," but it was really good for us.
Yeah, that sucks, but
Yeah, it
that
was
was
funny.
that's
He's a
that
good
was such
guy.
a cool moment.
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed being there. I remember just the emotions of everybody. Like
Oh yeah.
the stadium just erupted. And
Yep.
that was one of the coolest moments in the student section as a fan
For
watching
sure.
our high school ever.
Yep.
That was unreal, and y'all were celebrated for it. And honestly, it was all of it was worth it. It was amazing. So that was
Mhm.
a really cool moment to look back on. I'm sure you'll never forget it either.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, what influenced your decision to commit to Kentucky initially? Kind of go through like the process of it. How'd you get recognized
Yeah.
and recruited, and eventually your decision to commit?
Yeah. Honestly, I wasn't highly recruited. Because I tore my ACL in 8th grade, freshman year, I didn't have any film. So freshman year going into sophomore, we went to a bunch of these camps. We probably went to 10 camps in the summer. We did like a road trip all across the east side of the United States. And they were all like, "Why don't we know about you? Like, why haven't I seen your film? Why am I just now seeing you? Because I'm going into my sophomore year, so technically I'm late." And I was like, "I've torn my ACL twice," and they're like, "Well, you just need to get on the field. Like, we'll keep in touch. We'll watch you. This and that." So sophomore, I get on the field, do whatever. Then sophomore going into junior year, I get my first offer from Kentucky, and then Marshall, and then Eastern. Um, and then junior year, we win state. And then all of the big schools that I went to, like Michigan, West Virginia, Purdue, Tennessee, Cincinnati, like all of those schools were like, "Just come on campus and then we'll offer you. Like, we just want to see you throw in person one time, and then like we'll offer you." And then COVID happens. So then everything shuts down. So I only had 3 offers on signing day, or on like when I committed, and it was Eastern, Marshall, and Kentucky. I had a bunch of like would be offers, or like we're looking at you type things, but I didn't have all the offers. And then so I committed to Kentucky. They just hired Cohen, who's now the head football coach at Jaguars. So it was I was going into a really good situation.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, the on signing, or the day I committed, Arizona State, which was my dream school, it was in Arizona, ASU. It's beautiful, whatever. They had Coach Dungy at the time, who was in the NFL. Their whole staff was like ex NFL players, and I wanted to go so bad. And I was like, I'm decommitting one day after being committed to Kentucky. I'm decommitting. I'm going to Arizona State. My mom responds on Twitter to the coach and is like, "Nah, we're good." I was like, "Okay." I didn't even get to make the decision. We
Oh,
didn't
for
even have a
sure.
conversation about it. So, and I talked to her and she's like, do you want me to come watch you? Do you want me to watch your games? Like, I'm not going to be out there every single week. And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. And then she was like, do you want your grandma to come watch you? It's like, yeah, I do. So then I went to Kentucky. It was far enough to be like, make my own life, but also close enough to like hour and a half. I could go back home, get a home cooked meal. I never got homesick because my parents and my sister were around. So like they would come up for a weekend, especially they didn't miss a single game. They were always around. So I never got homesick or never felt like I didn't belong. And honestly, I made great relationships my freshman year because we're all going through the same thing, trauma bonding, as they say, waking up at 5:30 to go work out. And it was some of the hardest workouts I've ever done. So a little trauma bond with the freshmen and hanging out in the dorm. So it was a good time.
Yeah. And I mean, you were there for 3 years.
Yep.
I remember your first start was it South Carolina?
Yep.
I could feel I was so excited for you. And honestly, like I wasn't around home. I wasn't around Somerset, but I know for a fact that there was probably hundreds of people, rooting on. And
I got so many texts, calls, like people I hadn't talked to because that was my sophomore year. So in like 2 years, and they were like, hey, we watched the game. Hey, we're rooting for you before the game, like before when they announced it and stuff. So, I mean, I got so many support messages and stuff from Somerset, from people who watched me play in high school that I didn't really know, but they knew of me. So
yeah,
the support was awesome.
Yeah, and that sense of community is so cool. But yeah, so obviously you didn't get to play as much as you wanted to, I'm sure. And when you realized that, you might need a change to get some more playing time and more opportunities, because I mean, it was very scarce, the chances that you got for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Which I believe that honestly did you a little dirty because you were deserving of it. You're too talented of a player at that time to not be given more opportunities. But how did you approach the decision to transfer?
Honestly, after the season, my junior year, I was like, okay, there's a decision to be made. Like I can either stay here and tough it out. I already graduated, so I could stay there, tough it out, and then or transfer. And then I ultimately chose to transfer after a couple conversations with Stoops, a couple conversations with Cohen. I chose to transfer, and a lot of prayer and a lot of conversations with my parents. Ultimately, a decision was made, not for me, but some information came, and I knew the number that they were going to pay the dude that they were getting, which was a very high number. And I told Stoops verbatim, I can compete with anybody. I can't compete with what you're going to pay him. So I am leaving. And honestly, when I transferred, I was like, I want to go somewhere with no NIL. So I didn't post on Twitter. I didn't post on Instagram that like, oh, I'm in the transfer portals. Everybody come recruit me. I hated the recruiting process anyway, because I hate to brag on myself. I hate the attention. That's just not me. And so when I did transfer, I was like, wherever I'm supposed to go, they'll come get me. So I did, and it worked out for the best. It was a tough decision because of like the people that I was leaving. I have immense respect for a lot of the players that I played behind, the coaches that I got to get coached by. And honestly, the time at Kentucky was, I mean, my favorite time in college. So I can't complain there, but obviously the ending wasn't what we wanted it.
So this is being recorded on December 3rd.
Yeah.
I initially was going to ask you to do this. I had planned on it after we had talked briefly. I planned on asking you to want to do this with me. So it's kind of a coincidence that a couple days ago, Coach Stoops gets fired.
Yep.
So how do you feel about Coach Stoops in a general sense?
Well, Coach Stoops is a defensive coach, so I didn't really have like hands-on coaching experience with him. Honestly, if you asked him about our offense, he wouldn't know much because I had 3 different offensive coordinators in 3 years.
Mhm.
Technically 2, but it was like Cohen left, came back. It was a big ordeal. So new offense every year. I was in college at Kentucky, and then they bring in Bush Hamden after I left. So that's 4 in 5 years, 4 different coaches. So honestly, he would walk into our meetings and he would be learning with us. Like he would ask questions that like I'm like, aren't you supposed to know this? But he's a defensive coach, and he would tell, like, if we were on the sidelines and the coaches would be like, oh, do you want to run here? He'd be like, no, pass the ball. Like that was the general. But then Cohen or the offensive coordinator, whoever had the reins after that. But the decision making was all his. And as a coach, like I respect him. I mean, he was on the Miami 2001 team with Ed Reed and all them. Like he knew from a defense and sports mind, like he knows a lot about football. From a head coach, leaders of men, his voice kind of ran dry. Like we'd be in like team meetings and he would come in like we're about to play Georgia or something, and everybody's just kind of like, yeah, we're gonna get our ass kicked. Like it's like the lack of motivation, and it was the same speech every single time, and it was just hard to want to play for him. Like that was for me at least. And I know other like Dion, like I said, like he loves Stoops. Like that's his guy. But different experiences and different relationships. Like I said, he's a defensive minded coach. So he was way more hands-on the defensive side, and he would talk to the DBs. I saw him talk to linebackers, D-line, everybody. But he never coached me up because honestly he couldn't. So my coach was really like, I think of Liam Cohen as like my coach in college, like not really as much as Stoops. But obviously Stoops made the decision on who starts, who doesn't, and stuff like that. So
yeah,
my conversations at the end when I was transferring, that's when like I was like, all right, like he did me dirty. Because then I got like Cohen would tell me things and I'm like, well, that's not what's like Stoops literally just lied to my face in the meeting I just had. Like that's where I'm an honest person. If you ask me something, I will tell you straight up. I don't care what it is. If it embarrasses me, if it's bad look on me, like I'm an honest person. And honestly, the entire time I was at Kentucky, I can think of 4 coaches that shot me straight. And they were like, you need to do this if you want to play. You need to do this if you want to be successful. If you don't do this, you are not going to play. Like I respect that so much more than, oh, you're doing great, bud. Like you're doing great. You'll get your time. Like your time's coming. Like I can't stand that. So, and that's what honestly, but Coach Cohen told me verbatim, he said, my morals are in check every single time I step into like a recruiting process, a coaching arena. So that I was going to coach after college, and he asked me if I wanted to, and I was like, honestly, no. You all are grown babysitters. Like you babysit grown men. Like the way there are so many divas in college, and they make so much money. Like the highest paid whatever would be wanting more or transfer to get more money, and they're 19, 20 years old, making some a million, some a couple 100,000. It is absurd. And they still act like they're entitled to stuff. And that was something that I just couldn't do. So like they would ask me if I wanted to coach after like football. And I'm like, no, I absolutely not. Like I want to coach high school just because that's where like football is like that is football. You will never get any more than like the passion that my dad has, I have for high school football. But beyond that, it's like that's a job at that point, especially now with NIL transfer. It's a business, and the more money that gets poured into it, the more it's going to be just a strictly business professional setting, which I think is a disservice to 18 to honestly now 25-year-olds. So
it's a hard, being a college athlete right now is very tough. It's
especially as one coming in as like a freshman or like a young person. That's where it's the hardest because you don't have the money to back it up or the discernment of what's real. Like what are they telling me that I can take hold of and like hold on to, and then the stuff that they're just telling you to make you get a little pat on your back and make you feel good. And that's honestly what I heard from Stoops in like my exit meeting when I was going to transfer after that meeting, it was like, oh, no matter, it doesn't matter what he's going to make. Like it'll be an equal competition. And I am not, I don't back down from confrontation. So when he was like, "Oh, the number's not that high. Like it's not going to be crazy amount." I spit out the number. I knew the number the guy was making because obviously, like I've lived in Kentucky my whole life. I know some of the boosters and investors and stuff like that. So I knew the number and I spit it out. And he literally fumbled over his words. He was like, "Oh, like how do you know that type of thing?" And
Yeah.
then I was like, exactly, like I know things that you don't think I know. So I am not going to be able to be manipulated into staying in a situation that I don't want to be in.
Right.
So I prayed for discernment, and like that was my most like hardest prayer was for discernment of like those conversations because I knew I was going to have them. So before those conversations, like I was on my knees at the foot of my bed, like, just let me know what is true. Like, help me know what is real and what they're just feeding me. So,
Yeah. And I've come to appreciate the coaches that have come into my life that have been true and real to me.
absolutely.
My first one was, in my opinion, Coach Neffendorf at IU Southeast. I mean, he was just real with me. He gave me opportunities when I wasn't doing great, and at the exit meetings, he was just real with me, and he was straight
Yeah.
up. He was like, "We need you to hit better," but man, like if you get that down pat, you're going to be good. And I completely trusted him. I mean, he was that first coach that in college that I really was like, wow, he's being completely honest with me. He's not just like, yeah, man, you did great. Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, and then now I'm here at the Cumberlands, and I'm getting that from Coach Shelton and Coach Martin. I mean, they respect their players, and this is like a big league. This feels like a big league team. I mean,
That's awesome.
they respect their guys, and they're not going to sugarcoat anything, and they treat people with grace and compassion, and tell you straight up, what the truth is. They're not going to lead you on, and I think I've grown to really appreciate that more. And it's unfortunate that in the majority of, especially the higher you go in the SEC, ACC, Big Ten, you see a little bit more. And just because the stakes are a little bit higher and there's so much more money and moving parts going around and really good players coming in and all that stuff. But yeah, I've really grown to appreciate the people that have coached me and led me the right way instead of kind of just telling me what I would want to hear.
Absolutely.
So while you were at Kentucky, during that time, you're not getting very many opportunities. And, it may seem like, dang, there's just like no way out. Like, what else do I have to do? It's kind of like hopeless in a sense, So during that time, had your faith been challenged on the field?
Honestly, on the field, and I wouldn't say my faith, but my actions didn't lead how my heart was feeling. And
Yeah.
that was the hardest part because I am very self-aware. And I wasn't at the time, and I had outlets, like we would go out and I would hang around with, I mean, great friends, but I wouldn't be doing what like I knew I was supposed to do as a Christian, as athlete and stuff like that. Like I was just making poor decisions, and it was kind of a loop because it was like I'm here, I'm not getting the opportunities I want, so I'm gonna go do this. Like I'm gonna go out on the weekends. I'm gonna
Yeah.
every Saturday, like I'm gonna go out just because, like honestly, out of spite. Um, and it was honestly just a continuous loop. And as I was doing it, my faith, like, or not faith, my knowledge of the Bible was growing because I had really good mentors and a couple of my friends that are really knowledgeable about the Bible. And one of them wants to be like a minister. So I would rely heavily on him. He was a backup quarterback with me, Deuce Hogan, who came from Iowa, is now at Nicholls State. Um, he is an amazing guy, and I relied a lot on him. And I tell everybody, like, people ask me, they're like, why do you think God put you at Kentucky? And I will say 1000% because of my like journey with Christ. I was raised in the church. I was raised a Christian. I always believed in God, but I never, I don't know, I never really grew into like my spiritual, I had to grow into my
Yeah.
spiritual like heart and how much like I had like relied on him. And honestly, it all happened really fast. Like I was always faithful and I always told people like, oh, I believe in God, but I wouldn't profess it. I wouldn't tell people about it. Like I wasn't confident because I wasn't knowledgeable about it until
Yeah.
like that same 6 months to where like we were in season, I was miserable, and I had to rely on God and rely on those friendships that would like push me to be a better Christian and a better guy and a better everything, honestly. So after that, and honestly going into like when I was transferring, like that time, it all happened really fast. And I'm a firm believer in God, like doesn't put anything on you that you can't handle, and he'll absolutely prepare you from every single obstacle. So
Yeah.
like my lack of not ability, but availability, like the in football was kind of put on the back burner because of my faith. So like I would go to church on Sunday, do all this, and like I wouldn't really care as much about football because I'm like, I'm not just an athlete.
Yeah.
So I think that got me ready for like the ending of my whole career. Like I was so okay when I tore my ACL for the last time because I was like, I'm not just an athlete. I'm going to be okay in life because like I'm not only a Christian, I am a hard worker. I have these things instilled in me. I'm gonna be fine. So I think God prepared me for that. Honestly, probably like a full calendar year from when I tore my ACL and then ultimately ended my college career was it was just a year of like, hey, be ready. Like it's gonna happen. Like here you go. And then when it did, I was like, all right, I'm okay. Like I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I think God's timing is perfect. And for me it was. So
Yeah. And honestly, I think a lot of people can empathize with that. Is it's you put so much into it that you kind of lose your sense of self a little bit and your identity, and you kind of root yourself in worldly things such as
absolutely.
going out as much as you can, kind of doing it out of spite, like you said, just not letting your pride and ego down, and just you kind of go down that path of just the things that this world can give, and unfortunately, there's nothing there for us.
No.
It leaves you empty, and I figured that out as well. I wasn't getting to play, and I kind of got the writing was on the wall for me my second year at EKU that I wasn't going to get a shot.
Yep.
And even though I was in like 5 games, but I had 2 at-bats in 2 years. So, I wasn't really getting to play much. And I knew the writing was on the wall for me that I wasn't really going to get an opportunity. And I started to go down the wrong path. I wasn't living like a Christian would. And I was doing things I started getting a pretty bad potty mouth, honestly.
Me too.
I mean, yeah. So I wasn't doing what I should. And honestly, that time, I think that we all face that kind of rock bottom feeling where like we're so like, dang, I'm destined for so much more than this. Like,
100%.
I'm so much greater than this. And through Jesus, I'm so much more than
Amen.
what this world can give me. And I think that realization that you had, that having that faith and trusting God's role through your football career is critical. And honestly, yeah, we do go through things that uh, God knows that we can handle, and either it may break us or push us back against the wall, but He knows that it's going to do the best for us and make us into the people that He wants us to be. And you're still standing, man. I mean, I
Absolutely.
remember, my worst fear was, either being done with ball or having to go and transfer. That summer, I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought I was going to be done after EKU, but Coach Neff gave me a chance, gave me a scholarship and opportunity. So I mean, I'm still standing even after I left from there, and
Absolutely.
my life wasn't just in Richmond. I'm so much more than where I was in New Albany or where I am now in Williamsburg, and what I do. So yeah, and that's such a cool perspective that you have, because honestly, I've also been there, and it's a rough place, but you just continue to, walk your walk and get closer with God, and the people around you are so important.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and you mentioned that last ACL tear. How did facing that injury? How did you deal with that, like mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? I know you said that you were kind of at the time you were almost okay with it, but did you have that realization that I was like, well, that you were may have been like, dang, this may be it for me.
So, like I said, the timing was perfect. So I'll give you like my whole testimony at up to like that point.
Yeah,
So when I was transferring, like I said, I didn't want to, I hated the recruitment process from high school to college. So I was not going to like it from a college to another college. So I didn't post anywhere on Instagram or Twitter or anything. I literally was like, whoever's going to get me is going to get me. And I prayed the most bold prayer I've ever prayed, and it was answered verbatim the next day. It was beautiful. So I was about to shower, and I don't get stressed. I don't get anxiety because of the faith I have in the Lord. Like I know that He is like whatever happens in my life that I can't control, He's in control of. So with this, I was like, all right, whoever, like I was talking to 3 schools, Miami of Ohio, and then UT Martin and EKU. And 2 of those were kind of nixed. Like I wasn't going to go to Miami of Ohio because they had a 7th-year quarterback coming back. And then EKU, I really wanted to leave and like be somewhere else. Richmond's a little close to Lexington. So I was like,
yeah,
I want to go somewhere else, like honestly, like I want God to reshape me and like have mold me wherever and not be close to Lexington, like with those temptations. So that's exactly what happened. I was about to shower and like I get overwhelmed. Like I am bawling in tears, and I am fully naked. I have no underwear, no socks, no clothes, like no shirt, no pants. I am on my knees on the side of my bed, like head in the covers, and I'm like, Lord, I need you to close a door, open a door, grab my legs, and throw me through the door that I'm supposed to go to. And I didn't want it to be misconstrued. I told him what, like, it was his.
yeah,
Everything that was in my life, like, it is yours. And the next day, it's probably 7 o'clock at night. Ohio calls and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna go with Van Gundy, who's the head coach or was the head coach at Oklahoma State's son. Like, we're gonna
yeah,
go a different route." So they signed him, and then the next I mean, within after 5 minutes of the phone call, I text UT Martin like, "Hey, like I'm coming." And UT Martin was the school that was like wanted me the most, was so excited to like recruit me, to have me. And then like the coach that recruited me drove 4.5 hours just to meet my family. Like it was like they wanted me really bad.
yeah.
And that felt good. But the location of UT Martin, two hours south of Bowling Green, 2 hours west of Nashville, 2 hours north of Memphis. Within those 2 hours, there is absolutely nothing. It was pretty tough. And when I went to visit, I was like, "There's no way. Like I'm not going here." But I mean, God had different plans.
Yeah.
And so when I get there in January, I have a super nice apartment. I live by myself. Because the cost of living so low. It was $600 for a 2-bedroom, full living room, full kitchen. It was awesome. And then my parents would pay. It was 800, but my parents would pay 200 to like not have to live in a hotel when they come for games and stuff. So it was really a good situation.
Cool.
And January, like I'm living there, and I am miserable. The first probably 3 months until the end of March when our like spring ball starts. I'm going to Lexington. I'm going to Louisville to see my sister, and I'm going home like Somerset every single weekend, so I didn't have to stay there. I
Yeah.
was so miserable, and I would tell my parents I was miserable. But football was fine. Like football was good. And in the summer when I was home, I told my mom, I was like, I don't want to go back. Like I am miserable. I don't want to go back. And I do, obviously. I
Yeah.
go back for the summer workouts. I do all that. We're 3 games into the season, and a week and 2 days before I tore my ACL. I, once again, no clothes. Get overwhelmed again. This has happened twice in my life where I get overwhelmed and I'm fully unclothed and bawling out of my eyes. And once again, I pray. I say, Lord, get me out of here. Let me go home. Let me start my life away from sports. Like, and I said verbatim, I'm okay with tear my ACL. I've done it twice. I know I can handle it. And a week and 2 days from that night, that prayer, I tore my ACL. And then I got out of my lease. I got out of school because I'd already graduated. So I just did online school and everything fell into place. And so as I'm walking off the field, like I can literally feel because I tore my ACL, MCL, LCL, and meniscus. So I had the PCL in the back was the only thing holding my knee together. That and skin. So I'm walking off the field and I literally feel like my knee like going in and out. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm done. And I heard the pops. I'd done it twice before. I knew I was done. Um, and I had already I had told my parents like this is it. Like if I have to be in Martin, Tennessee, like I'm not gonna play sports. Like it just wasn't for me. And like I am very overwhelmed after I tear it because I'm like that's how my football career ends. Like this is how my entire football from the time I was 2 years old sprinting in the living room catching my own passes to playing at the highest level to then playing FCS. And I mean it's been the biggest thing in my life for 20 years at that point. So it was really hard when it first happened, and like I was crying on the sideline, one because of pain and two because like I knew it was over. So I have a towel over my head, my dad's in my ear, and he's like, or I'm literally just saying this is how it ends, this is how my football career ends, and I can't stop like saying that. And then my dad's like, you have 2 years, like, because I'll get a medical red shirt for that, and then I'll have another year for my red shirt from freshman year. And I was like, no, I'm not being a 6-year senior who's 25 years old. Like, that's not going to be me. I'm not going to be that guy. So it wasn't even about the age, though. It was more so about like the maturity. Like, I had outgrown college. Like, I was ready to move on from college sports in general, and I was ready to start my life. So I had made that decision honestly a week and 2 days before I tore my ACL, and then everything falls into place. And then afterwards, like I was in pain but happy. Like I was so okay with going home. And as soon as I got home, I had surgery on my birthday, October 18th. So a month after or a month and a week after my injury, I have surgery. 2 weeks after surgery, it was actually like 3 weeks. I was on crutches in job interviews because I was like, I'm not sitting around. I'm gonna go to work.
Yeah.
And then I'd always known what I wanted. So my dad's in pharma sales, my sister's in medical device sales, my cousin's in medical device sales, my mom was in medical device sales before she got into teaching. So I knew I was going to go into sales, like competitive sales, and I mean, it's very similar to sports. Like you eat what you kill. If you put in the work, you'll get some value in it. And so I knew what I wanted to do, and I got a job interview with Johnson & Johnson Ethicon, who I work for now. And as an associate, within 3 months, I had the job. And then after 10 months, almost I had surgery October 18th. My job is my start date was October 21st. So almost a calendar year from my surgery, I had my dream job, which I'm doing now, which is a full-on medical device rep. And I'm in Lexington. I'm in a familiar place, an hour and a half away from home, an hour and 15 from my sister up in Louisville. So I God's timing, God's plan, it worked out so well for me. And honestly, I believe it's because of the faith I have. I'm not going to let my anxieties and my indecisions manipulate how the blessings, even if they do feel like curses, like they feel like obstacles.
Yeah.
That's just God saying, "Hey, other way. Like
Yeah.
don't go through that door. Come through this one."
Mhm.
So I think, and I believe firmly that God had every like his fists were around my ankles, just like, "Hey, walk with me." I'm like, "All right, I got you." So I know, and I've told this to everybody. I love telling those stories because it's like I was full blown just vulnerable with God. I
Yeah.
mean, as vulnerable as any man would want to get. And
Yeah.
I was the way it worked out was beautiful for me, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah. And I mean, you lean on God through that whole process. And I think that's what's cool is like what I kind of worried about whenever I thought about being done. I knew a part of me wanted to just keep playing. I feel like there always will be a part of me, no matter how small that, I don't want to ever let go. And I think that's
Absolutely.
most every athlete feels that way too. But um, I would always wonder and worry like, dang, would I be okay with it?
Yeah.
I think it's hard to be okay with it. Like you said, I mean, you said you want to be done, but then you finally realize it. You're like, dang,
Oh, there's
like
so much
it's done.
emotions. But then
Yeah.
also like I'm still involved in football. Like I trained
Yeah.
the high school kids at Somerset, like the two quarterbacks, and then I trained some of the middle school kids, some of the elementary school kids, and that's my football like outlet now, and I
Yeah.
love it. It's so football is still a part of my life, and I'll always cherish football, the memories, the relationships. I mean, I talk to doctors in Lexington because they're like, "Oh, you played for Kentucky," and then it's just a conversation. Like it helps me now in my job.
Yeah.
So like I'll always value football and Kentucky, honestly, because they eat it up. So
Yeah. That's a big part of you. And it always will be. Uh,
absolutely,
yeah. No matter how you felt about it or if you wanted to be done or not, I mean, you're still finding success
absolutely,
for the things you're doing now. And that's awesome that you had a future career in this. And you're doing well for yourself. So that's good. And
hmm
he's always got you when you feel like it's hopeless. I'm sure at some point in your life you wanted to go to the NFL and
yep,
play play in front of thousands and make millions. I mean, that's kind of the dream of most every athlete. And you kind of get the full perspective of it, and maybe your life flips upside down. It may feel like, but in the end, you're still going, and you found success in what you're doing. So
absolutely.
that's awesome. So my last question. So what advice would you go back and tell freshman Kaiya Sheron at Somerset High School, or maybe any young athlete, about trusting God through uncertainty and setbacks?
They're gonna happen. It's inevitable. You're gonna go through something, whether it's injury, you lose someone, lose something, lose yourself. It's gonna happen. But like I said, like my lack of fear and anxieties on stuff that I can't control was honestly my superpower. And anybody can have that through their faith in Jesus, through the like he is he's gonna protect you. And honestly, it's a beautiful thing. And I used it more often than not. Like, okay, like I'm feeling overwhelmed, just sit back, strong, bold prayer because he is listening and he'll answer it. And even if it's not the what you think you want, it's
Yeah.
what he knows is best for you.
Yeah.
So an unanswered prayer isn't always an unanswered prayer. It's just like, hey, either not yet or that's not for you. So it's
Right.
protection. So, and I firmly believe that. And honestly, it was my superpower from the first time I tore my ACL and up until the last. So,
Yeah. And I heard this really cool analogy. Um, I guess it's not really necessarily an analogy, but it's just kind of like a cool perspective of how you can put kind of asking God for help. I mean, he's not just going to magically, make you stronger. I'm like, God, give me strength, make me bold, make me confident. Like he's going to give you obstacles for you to overcome so you can be those things, strong, bold, and
absolutely.
confident. So yeah, but yeah, that's awesome, man. And I got a funny story, and I kind of mentioned this to you before uh, we started recording, but when we were in downtown Lexington and I saw you and Gavin, uh, you all told me that you loved what I was doing. This is when I first started doing Verse of the Day. And even before my testimony, even before Speak from the Heart was created. But you all told me, I love what you're doing. Keep doing it. I see it and it helps. And that was really cool to me. And that inspired me to, I had thought about it, but I felt it on my heart, kind of after that. I was like, I need to do my testimony. And
Absolutely.
so in that clip where I talk about, in my testimony, friends that I haven't talked to in years come up and tell me how much my videos have helped them, inspired them. That was about you guys.
Yeah.
So you all honestly helped me get to this point where I am now, and creating Speak from the Heart. I mean, that was kind of the starting point of kind of like it churning in my mind.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'm
so,
glad, because I
yeah,
know, like, honestly, your testimony, like when I listened to it, I literally popped up on my For You page yesterday, which is crazy. But every single thing that you said, I was like, I can relate to that. So I know other people can relate to it. So I'm really glad that I got to talk about
yeah,
mine, because I'm sure, like, what is it? 1 Corinthians 10:13. No, what is it? I can't remember the exact quote, or exact verse, but it's like, no, anything you're feeling isn't just yours. Like, other
yeah,
men have gone through it. There's different, everybody knows what you're going through. Like, someone has shared what you were going through. So
yeah.
if I can help even just one person walking through something that I walked through, then they're not alone.
Exactly. And I felt like I was on an island with my problems, but after, people telling me like their stories, or even getting to do this, this will be episode 9. Wait, maybe no, this will be episode 8. So I mean, like, having these people tell me about the things they've gone through and their battles and their backstories, like, I realized that I wasn't alone. And through that, I feel like I knew that other people would think the same thing I did, that they're going through something, unique and impossible to overcome. And no one understands how I feel, but
Exactly.
trust me, you got people that have gone through what you've gone through or what you're going to go through. And, use that experience to help you get through that and mold you into who God wants you to be. And honestly, that moment, being able to get awesome athletes to come and talk to me on here, like, that did great things in their career, and the faith behind their journey to help make an impact on others, is such a cool feeling. And yeah, this has been great. I mean, I'm sure someone will definitely resonate with with your testimony, the things that you've said, the things you've gone through, and help somebody out for sure.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate you coming to do this with me, man. It's been great.
Of course, I appreciate it.
If you got anything else to say, the floor is yours to leave
I'm good. I'm
anybody
good.
else with. All right, man. Well, thank you all for watching Speak from the Heart, and we will see you all next week.